Alrighty, YouTube. Welcome back to my channel, YouTube. If y'all are new here, my name is Angel Uchiha. If y'all are not new, then of course, welcome back. As always, I want to thank y'all for liking, commenting, subscribing, running those views up, all that good shit that y'all do to keep this channel alive. So, as y'all can see by the title of today's video, y'all, we are getting back into poly again. Okay, so poly has been a topic of discussion on this channel. I think, did I do 2 videos? I might have just did one. All I know is the last time I touched base on this topic, y'all got more so my perspective, coming from having not the best experiences with poly, right? I'll put that video right here somewhere. Y'all go check that out after y'all get done with this one. Okay. So today I wanted to come back and give a different perspective, right? Give a perspective that's a little bit more refined, right? Because that video was messy. It was messy, y'all. So today we have Tamara. I said that correctly?
Yes.
Tamara. We have Miss Tamara who is going to assist us with providing that perspective. Would you like to introduce the people to yourself?
Yes, so my name is Tamara, and you can find me on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, all the socials. Wedded Bliss Official Services is there, as well as Wedded Bliss Love Academy. So I am a two-time international award-winning wedding officiant where I officiate weddings for everyone. I marry everyone I love, so I marry all. But kind of my specialty is the LGBTQIA2S plus community, as well as plural marriages and the non-monogamous community. And so as I was working with couples marrying them, that kind of segued into me coaching, which is how I ended up, kind of creating the Wedded Bliss Love Academy out of the efficient services business. So that is my spiel about Wedded Bliss, based out of Detroit, but we do destination weddings. So we go all over the U.S. and other countries as well. So
So y'all travel.
yes, we do. We go everywhere.
Okay, I'm just taking some notes here because, like, I have questions that pop up in my head and then I forget them. So I just want to make sure that I write it down.
Yes, I literally just made a post earlier. Ask me anything you want to know about gender, sexuality, relationship styles, different relationship structures. It's my jam. So I love to talk about it. I'm here for it.
Okay, perfect. So I guess the first question, just to get the ball rolling, are you a poly practitioner? Have you been before? Like, what's your personal experience with poly?
So I have been I feel like I've been polyamorous my whole life, and I just didn't have the vocabulary and the terms to put to it. But I just kind of felt like very young, even like in school as a young person, just being, I don't know, I felt like I was being boxed up and just forced to be in this box that society expects me to be in. So
Okay.
I guess that's my best answer is I've been polyamorous my whole life. I've had nothing but great experiences personally, and I'm very grateful for that. Just being able to be my authentic self has made me a very happy person and able to help other people that are not so comfortable with going against societal norms. So, in short, my whole life, yes.
Okay. So that's something that you have a great deal of experience with. Now, I know that polygamy can be a very broad term, right? So for those of y'all who don't know, there's many different forms of polygamy, from polyamory to polyandry to polygyny. Um, so even for people that may be confused with those terms, you have situations where, there's one man and he has multiple women. There's one woman, she has multiple men. There's men and women that are all together. Like, it comes in many different forms, right? So which form do you practice or have practiced?
So right now, I am not practicing any forms at all. Just no particular reason. I personally just, go with the flow of life.
Mm-hmm.
But all of my experience has been kitchen table V. So, I mean, I guess I can kind of break down some of those terms so it can make a little bit more sense for the viewers that are not necessarily familiar with non monogamy. So non-monogamy is just not being monogamous. So you and your partners are consenting and are okay with each other having your own autonomy, not making each other feel like you're forced to be a certain kind of way. I mean, I just personally feel like if my partner, met someone, let's say at work or at the park, wherever, social club, and they have a lot in common and they hitting it off and they get along, I just feel like why do they have to feel like I can't talk to this person, I can never see this person again because I met like they met me first. I just feel like that's not fair. Like connections are connections and we don't ask our friends, hey best friend, I just made a new friend today. Are you gonna be upset? Are you okay if I become friends with this person? We don't
Mm-hmm.
check in that way. So what makes it different? So I feel like a lot of people feel like because you are sexually exclusive with this person, that makes the difference. But if you take that away, it's the same thing. So,
Right.
and in conclusion, with non-monogamy, you have polyamory, which is multiple loving relationships, polygyny, which is a man with multiple women, polyandry, which is a woman with multiple husbands or men, and what I have practiced so far is polyandry. I've never, I can't say I've never been in a polygynous situation. I have. It wasn't kitchen table, it was kind of parallel. So, parallel is that, like, me and the other young lady, we didn't really have like involvement with each other. We knew we existed. We were all consenting adults of this relationship structure. We just didn't hang out. But my other experiences were all polyandrous V relationships. So like I'm the hinge here, and then there's one male partner here and one male partner here. They are not involved, but we all get along and we can sit at the kitchen table, so to speak, and all have a
Mm-hmm.
meal and get along. And we all hung out. It was great. It was the perfect situation, I feel like, because everyone had things in common. So we can all go out and have drinks, go out to eat, watch a movie, go bowling. It was just perfect. I feel like it was. But yeah, that's pretty much my experience.
I feel like there's so much to unpack there, right? So I've recently been very intrigued as far as like understanding polyandry, right? Because like I said, I'm personally someone who's had only experience with polygyny, right? And typically within the spiritual community, within the conscious community, blah blah blah, that's what's pushed, right? It's very much like, oh, men spread their seed, men,
Yeah.
blah, 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 it's in the men's nature. Like, you don't really too often see the acceptance of polyandry, and usually when you do see it, there's more of like a biased connotation in the sense of like, oh, that woman's promiscuous, those men are bisexual, no real alpha male, blah blah blah, right? That's what I hear around that. So as someone who has personally experienced that and conducted that, right? um okay, well, let's walk it back a little bit. How did you go about interacting with that? Like, was it a situation where you met one guy and y'all were in a relationship and you just happened to meet another guy? Was it something you went into the situation knowing like, hey, I want more than one partner, and I'm kind of letting this be known at the gate and finding a man who's interested in that? Um, just because I'm curious to see, like, was there a obstacle or a barrier that you faced with getting a man to accept that, hey, I want to have another partner as well? That's a male.
Right. So I've never had any issues with it. I just tell them how I am, how I'm operating. If you're okay with this, great. If you're not, that's also fine. I can accept your no,
Mhm.
and you just have to accept my no because this is how I operate. This is what I'm going to do.
Mhm.
And I'm not going to do it behind your back. I'm telling you right up front. So I've never really had any issues with it. I meet someone, make a connection, And I'm, tell them right off the bat, I'm in a relationship, blah, blah, blah. But the biggest challenge, I would say, is not necessarily them being okay with it and entering into the relationship dynamic. I feel like the biggest thing is they always want that reassurance that the other man is okay. And they're really like kind of, I don't want him to beat me up. Like
Yeah.
no one's operating off toxic monogamy here. No one's gonna beat you up. But once they get over the initial shock that, hey, that's cool that you're so upfront and honest about it. I like that. Like they're drawn to the honesty. And then once they get over the fact that, okay, the other guy is fine, I'm like, do you want to ask him? And they usually say no. They usually say no. And then eventually down the line, everybody comes together, they meet each other, and everybody gets along because there's no reason not to, because everyone's consenting to it. And I personally just feel like if we have a common love interest, then we obviously have something in common that brought us together through the same person. So we should all be able to get along, if not for us, but for the person that we do love. So
Right. Okay, so it seems like it's very straightforward. It's like a almost like a typical relationship in the sense of, hey,
yeah.
I like you. Do you like me? All of that comes with me. And it's either a yes or no, and you keep it pushing. I think again, I think that's something that's very interesting because I think some people can have such a stigma towards it to where it's like, oh, no man is gonna go for that. Like there's gonna be so much pushback. So it is refreshing to see that you didn't really get like a knee-jerk rejection just because of it being an unusual dynamic, right?
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I love to hear that. I love to hear that. So, one thing I did hear you touch base on was kind of like the skepticism of, is this other person really okay with this, right? And
Mm-hmm.
that's something that, I personally, understand and have felt in situations where polygyny was pitched to me. Just because I've had experiences where the women will be okay with it at first, and they'll say this, I'm cool with polygamy. But then once you get into it, and especially in situations where y'all can see each other, that's what I'll say. Because
Mm-hmm.
and you might actually know the terms for this because I don't know the individual terms. So I've had polygyny where um there's me and another woman, but we don't see each other, we don't have any contact with each other, but we know
Yeah.
that each other exists, right? And
It's
then
a
I've had
parallel polyamory. Mm-hmm.
parallel. Okay, boom. So then I've had polygyny where we're all living in one house together, right? And at one point, me and another wife were sharing the same room. Like it was very much like we can see the relationship, right? And so I think with the first one, there wasn't as much like jealousy or like rebellion or pushback against the union because we couldn't see each other. It was like out of sight, out of mind. But in the
Right.
situation where we're all living in one house, it's like, oh well, you kiss her different than how you kiss me, and I feel like you like you can kind of see and make that comparison, right? So I'm just saying all that to say
Mm-hmm.
I can understand how a person can agree to something at first, and then once they actually get in the situation, it's like, oh, I don't think this is you feel me? So is that something that you've experienced in your journey with polyandry?
I have,
Mhm.
which is why I shy away from polygynous situations altogether. Um, I would just be blunt. I am a type A personality, alpha female, and I am never the one that causes the issues. It's never me. I'm friendly. I like to make new friends. I'm outgoing. Let's go get our nails done. But like you said, it always eventually rolls into you're doing this more over there and not over here, and there's just always a lot of jealousy and there's not enough compersion to go around. And so compersion is a term that comes up a lot in the polyamorous community, which is having joy for your partner's love, like to see your partner happy and being, I guess, being loved by
Mhm.
someone else, whether it's you and or if you're involved or not. Just seeing your partner happy makes you happy. And
Okay.
I feel like men can embody that a little bit more in my experience. more so than women. Men are very competitive, but it's never been an issue for me. In fact, it works in my favor, the men's competitiveness. Like if one man is doing something and the other man finds out, it's like, he bought you flowers, I'm gonna go get you some shoes. He bought you shoes, I'm
Yeah.
gonna get you an outfit. Like he
Oh,
took you out to eat, I'm gonna go fill your refrigerator with some groceries. Like, great, this is amazing. I love it. However, calm down. Calm down, everybody.
I'm starting to see some perks. Like, okay, hold on a second. Like, cause that sounds
Exactly.
good. Like, oh, he took you to the hotel. We going to Dubai. Like, I like
Okay.
that. I like that.
Exactly. And I don't like cattiness.
Mhm,
I grew up with boys, so I relate to men a lot better and easier. However, I'm not opposed to, like I said, having female friends. It's just, it never works out that way.
mhm.
So I don't even worry about it anymore.
Okay, okay. So I love to hear that. I love to hear it. So I do have questions for you that are a bit more refined because you're not only you don't only officiate marriages, but you're also a marriage counselor, right? Um,
Mhm.
so I feel like you have a great deal of experience outside of just your own personal experience, and that's something that I don't have, right? So for example, I know there tends to be a conception that polygamy fixes certain issues, right? So that you might see in monogamy. So for example, men cheat anyways. Like, you sharing a man anyways, you might as well be polygamous, and that way everybody knows about it, and everybody, like, that's something that I hear a lot, right? So as a marriage counselor who has dealt with polygamous marriages, is polygamy like the fix for matters such as infidelity, and whatever the case may be within relationships?
I can tell you right now, no, no, no. Like, if you're
Mhm.
having infidelity issues, this is the worst possible thing you can do
Mhm.
because infidelity is lying and deceiving your partner.
Mhm.
Not ethical non monogamy is ethical. Everyone's consenting to it. I kind of shy away from the term of ethical non monogamy because it kind of brings a negative connotation that it's unethical at some
Yeah.
point. So I
Mhm.
don't really like to say ethical non-monogamy. I like to stick with consensual because everyone is consenting. So there is no cheating. So they're not the same things. And a lot of people, I feel like they use this as, like you said, the fix it for cheating. That's not going to help because this person is a liar. They're not naturally polyamorous. They're just a liar. And there's
Mhm.
probably a reason deep down that probably needs to get worked on to figure out why they're lying and cheating. It stems from somewhere, but it has nothing to do with them being a non-monogamous person by nature. Because I don't look at polyamory as a lifestyle. Like, lifestyle is, another term for swinging. That's different because that just deals with the sexual aspect,
Mhm.
like group sex and stuff like that. But non-monogamy is loving relationships, and it doesn't even have to involve sex at all. You can have platonic polyamorous partners and things like that. So if you try to sprinkle cheating with polyamory, that person is still going to cheat. They're
Mhm.
still going to do it. And they're not going to intentionally, you know, nurture each relationship that they have. They're just going to bounce around. You're still going to be left feeling unattended to, unheard. You're still going to have unmet needs. That person that's doing the cheating anyway, their needs are still unmet because they haven't communicated them.
Mhm.
So sprinkling polyamory on top of cheating is not helping anything if we don't just break this communication down and figure out what the problem is, what needs are unmet, and fix the issues in the marriage. Like, if two people are married and they add somebody else to it and they already had problems, it's just gonna grow. You gotta fix some problems. No one wants to come in on your marital issues.
Girl, like, I know that my viewers who have watched my other video, they just heard you say that and it was like, because I made that very clear. I did a video called Polygamy is a Scam, right? And that was something that I hit on very hard, is that a lot of, I'm going to say men, because like I said, my only experience was with polygyny, right? Um, will add on a just tack on a second wife or a third or a fourth or a fifth because they have issues with their first that they're not resolving, right? And so as a result, you come in as a second wife or third, fourth, fifth, whatever, and you're walking in the middle of a shit show, right?
Literally.
Because and then it's even worse because she may have insecurities
Mm-hmm.
already, but she knows that you're here because he's not happy with this, that, and the third. So now she's looking at
So
you like,
it's
oh,
resentment. Mm-hmm.
exactly. There's resentment there, and it's so messy. It's so
Yeah,
girl,
see, polyamory is not the scam. Toxic relationships is the scam.
but
Because if you think about it, if you
mhm,
already have like a very weak foundation with two people in the foundation and it's already kind of like teetering, and you add a third person that's more weight on it, it's gonna break. We add a fourth, a fifth,
exactly.
it's just gonna get weaker and weaker, and we all gonna fall. And that's not fair to the new people coming in because it's not their fault that it's
It's
going on.
girl. Like when I tell you the last time I tried this shit, no exaggeration. 3 weeks into my marriage, this dude goes to jail because of the problems in his second marriage. Like it was that bad. Like it wasn't just little tiny little normal relationship issues. It was like I walked into a war zone and I'm just looking around like what the whose idea was it to add another person in the midst of this? Like this I'm sitting here literally like it's crazy. And so with that being said, right? I like that you pointed out that how did you word it? You said that some people are not polyamorous by nature. They're just liars, right? And so the reason why I think that's important, and this kind of ties into why I said polygamy is a scam, right? I was being a bit facetious when I said that. Um, I was more so nodding at the way people within the conscious community will frame polygamy as a fix for cheating, as nation building, as blah 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 blah. And it's like you kind of get scammed into it because you walk into this thinking that, we're nation building, all of the issues that I face dealing with monogamy are going to be resolved through this. This is the righteous way. And then it's like, what is this? Exactly. So
Exactly.
that's where that came from, right? So the nature thing. Do you think that there's truly a concept of like, oh, this is a man's nature, this is a woman's nature, or do you think it's more so a type of person that can play into what makes sense for them with polygamy?
It's definitely the last one for sure because people try to say this is a man's nature. Men, they're not gonna focus on one woman, and so no, that is a scam. To
Mm,
try to push it and give someone an excuse for doing wrong things. No, there is no excuse for lying and being deceptive. It's just no excuse. I mean, if you're supposed to be loyal to the person or the people that you're with, then that's what you're supposed to do, whether you're in a monogamous or a polyamorous relationship dynamic.
mm,
And if they can say that it's a man's nature, it's in a woman's nature too. I mean, you can be in a relationship and see a handsome man walk down the street. Because you love this man, you're not going to think that that other guy is attractive. Come on now. That's in everyone's nature. It's human nature. That's what it is. It's not just a man, it's human nature. And I personally just feel like it's not natural for us to try to force ourselves to just stick to one thing. I mean, just in life and all things in general. Has one person ever just worked one job and been okay with that? Have you never gone on Indeed and looked around for other jobs or other
mhm.
positions, switched careers? I mean, I know young people in college, they change majors like they change clothes. So, I mean, our interest is constantly changing. We move houses, we our friends, we grow up with this group of friends, we have another friend group. Everyone probably has different friend groups. Like these are the friends I play soccer with. These are the friends I go out and do wine tastings with. These are the friends I go to church with. So I feel like we are polyamorous by nature, just in life. So it's in everyone's nature for sure. And I think it's a very individual thing, what works for that individual person and their existing partners. I mean, a parallel polyandrous relationship might work in this season of life, and maybe later down the line, kitchen table poly might line up because there's different people involved. So it really just depends on the individuals that are involved in that dynamic.
I couldn't agree with you more. I honestly feel like it is within human nature to be attracted to the opposite sex. And the fact that you're in a relationship with this one person isn't going to stop the fact that you find other human beings attractive. We can try to put our ego in it and pretend it all we want, but even down to pheromones and just as a woman, your brain is literally designed to find certain things attractive as a heterosexual woman, right? So even if you have immense love for this person that you're with, you're gonna find that man attractive. You're gonna see that beard and that deep voice. Like now, you're gonna suppress that because you have a man, right? And
Now,
so that.
see,
Oh, I'm sorry. What'd you say?
I'm sorry. I was going to say I disagree with that too, but go ahead.
Oh, wait, no, do your thing. What?
I feel like it's not, we shouldn't have to suppress ourselves. We should be able to be honest with who we're with.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if we're suppressing things, are we really being honest? Why do I have to keep it a secret and keep it locked up so I don't hurt your ego?
Mm-hmm.
Because you have insecurities, that's not my problem.
True. Exactly.
I
And
mean,
see, that's the thing.
yeah,
Exactly.
some taste and some tact, of course. I'd be like, dang, he's fine. Of course. Don't respond like that. But I mean, to look is to look.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. I'm just more so nodding to the people that try to lie to themselves and be like, no, like I'm so in love, I can never find nobody else attractive. Girl,
Mhm.
you know you do. Like you just you suppressing that because you don't want him to knock your head between the washer and the dryer. No, let me stop playing. Let me stop playing. But that's really what it is. You know you have that sensation, right? What I will say though, what I personally think, I think that as humans, we naturally are attracted to other humans, but I do think that some of our personalities are better suited for monogamy or polygamy, and that's also flexible, right? Because my personality when I was 21 might be a little bit different than when I'm 35 and I have different needs, right? So like for example, one thing that made me realize that polygamy isn't really something for me, um beyond all the drama and the bullshit, it's just the type of attention and time that I like to spend with my partner, right? The way I like to interact with my partner, having to share a person was not efficient for me and my needs, right? However, I know that there are people who let me get more specific, right? So this is what I think. We are very busy beings a lot of the times, right? We have jobs, we have children to take care of, we need to take care of ourselves, go to the gym, get our, take care of our own needs, right? So our time kind of gets chopped down, right? To
Mhm.
where there is a limited amount of time that you can spend with one partner. And then when you're factoring the fact that you now have five partners and you have kids with these partners, it's like those little blocks of time are getting squeezed down and squeezed down. And for me personally, that was something that I did not like, having to deal with like, okay, he got to go to work. So that's going to take up a large part of his day. We were Muslim, so he got to pray. He got to, like, he has all these obligations. And then now there's three of us. And it's like, okay, well, you get an hour. You get an hour. And it's like, what am I supposed to do with that? Like, I need more than that personally. But
Exactly.
I can see how someone who's very, I like my freedom. I like my space. An hour is cool with me. Come, give me something, spend some time, cuddle, whatever, go about your business. Or, we can go out, have something to eat, and then, I want to go about my business. Like, I can see how that can be more ideal for somebody with that personality, right?
Exactly.
Um, so that's just my theory. Would you agree that even if as human beings we have an innate nature to be attracted to other beings, some people's personalities may make polygamy not the best fit for them, or vice versa?
I definitely agree. I agree with that 100% for sure.
Okay. Okay, so that's just my theory, y'all. So I'm gonna just put that out there because I know that some people try to be like, oh, you're going against your nature, and I just feel like just because I can do something doesn't mean that it's like the most efficient thing for me to do right now, right?
Exactly.
Um, yeah. So something else that I did want to ask you, right? In your experience with marriage coaching, are there things that you've seen with polygamous marriages that you don't see occur with monogamous marriages, right? So this can be obstacles, this could be positive things. Like what are the differences that you've seen in the dynamics?
I personally have seen with other couples that the communication is a lot stronger with those plural relationships versus monogamous relationships because you're kind of forced to communicate a lot more when you have more people to juggle and more time management to, kind of flesh out. So I've seen a lot more communication. I see that the relationships are a lot happier with the polyamorous ones just because they are being more authentic to themselves. And so they don't feel like they have to hide anything from their partners. What's some more things I've seen? Unfortunately, on the monogamous side, divorce is running rampant. It's literally a war on love on the monogamous side. Not to say that polyamory doesn't have its issues, because I've definitely seen some situations where it's usually the women that are not getting along that I see in those polygynous structures. And so I've seen it's not a lot of people that you see out in the forefront talking about polyandry, but what I've seen just outside of my own personal experiences dealing with polyandrous couples and things like that, they seem to get along really well because it's like the fraternal bond of the men. Like they really be working together. And you don't
How
really
good
see
is
that.
that?
Like black men, they really, our men are, I feel like they suppress their feelings a lot. But I feel
Hmm.
like in polyandrous situations, the men are a lot more willing to communicate their feelings with each other and the women. And these are straight men.
Hmm.
Because a lot of people try to say, oh, the polyandrous men, they like each other. They don't like each other.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the big one that I definitely hear with polyandry is they try to like attack a man's masculinity. Um,
A lot. That's what they
you gotta be a
saying.
simp, you gotta be a beta. Like, yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I feel like it's actually the opposite. Like it takes a very strong man to be able to, work through a lot of the things that comes with fraternal polyandry. I mean, we are all working together to nation build. I don't like to use that because, like you said, I just feel like it's a cop out. But I mean, to build an empire, I mean, you can have different people in there. We all have our own stuff going on, businesses and careers, and then we come together and build something together. And I feel like that takes a lot. And it's very great to have like a community of people to come together. And so I feel like the men, they take it seriously because when it's involving money, men, they get to communicating about that money. So I've seen some really healthy things go on the polyamorous side. I mean, I've seen some healthy monogamous stuff too, but I feel like polyamory is taking the lead when it comes to happy and healthy relationships. And it's just because of those two things, being authentic to yourself and that honest communication.
Yeah.
You can't lie to yourself. You can't lie to your partner. Like you need to be you.
Hmm.
Because how in the world are you going to show up for someone else if you're not even like be honest with yourself?
Yeah. That's something I definitely can agree with. I definitely feel like in my experience, there is definitely way better communication, right? There is way more like honesty from the person who desires poly. That's what I think. Like in situations where say there's like one dude and he wants multiple women, but those women have nothing to do with each other, I feel like he's a lot more honest and authentic as opposed to cheating and sneaking out, right? But I do see where it's like I said, you might have issues where the women are saying like, "Oh yeah, I'm cool with this," but they're not, right?
And they're
So they're
really not.
not
They're just trying to keep the dude happy.
exactly. So they're not being authentic. But I think in the
Exactly.
situations where like the women are attracted to each other as well, and we're all like, I feel like that there tends to be way more like honesty and open communication, because it's like it's a all of us type thing. Like we're all in this together, one band, one sound type thing. But
Mhm.
that's just my experience, right?
Well, I've
And
seen
so
that too.
mhm. Yeah, so I do, and I agree with you that I think the biggest reason for that is just that authenticity, right? Is one less thing to argue about. And like when we look at the reason, like you point out the divorce rates within monogamy, one of the main reasons for divorce is infidelity, right?
Exactly.
So when you take away one of the main reasons for divorce and discord and argument, then it makes sense that there you won't see as much division in that area, right? And
Mhm.
that's not to contradict earlier where we were saying that this isn't a fix for infidelity, but more so, I do feel like a lot of people are kind of forced to position themselves as monogamous, even though that's not truly what they want. Whether it be first of all, we live in a country where it's literally illegal to marry multiple different partners. So
Exactly.
just by law, they're kind of forced into monogamy. And then based off of
Mhm.
like the social standard and the values and principles that we're raised up with, you may feel like, yes, I desire this, but I'm wrong for desiring this. And I have to try to, if I want to be a good man or a good woman, then I need to control this urge. And so that can kind of set you up and put you in a position to where you end up cheating, right? Or feeling like you see what I'm saying? And so that's
Mhm.
where I do think it can be a, because I'm trying to pose this in a way because I don't want to make it sound like I'm saying that polygamy is a cure for cheating, right? That's
Right.
not what I'm saying. But it sets you up for an authentic person to live in their authenticity, right?
You
It
know, that's only if
allows
that person has dealt with their issues first.
exactly,
Because if
exactly,
you got some unhealthy, toxic traits and you go into polyamory, it doesn't matter. It's still going to be a failed relationship
yeah,
because you haven't even worked on yourself. So you can't expect this person to be your peace. Like a lot of men say, I want her to be my peace. You don't even have any peace. She can't bring you something that you don't already have.
very true,
Makes no
exactly.
sense.
To me, I don't even like the be my peace shit because to me it sounds like you're chaos. Like you have problems
Right.
and you're relying on an external person to come and be your peace.
Yeah, I can't fix
Like
you.
exactly. Like because it's one thing to say like, "Oh, I want my woman to be peaceful." You know, like I'm peaceful. This environment is peaceful, so I want you to come in peace. That makes sense versus saying I
Right.
want you to be my peace. Like what? Like you be your peace. Like why are you not peaceful? Like that's the whole thing within itself. So the last thing I definitely want to ask you, right, is kind of what I just hit on. In America, it is illegal to be married to multiple partners, right?
Mhm.
So that's another thing that really pushed me away from polygamy is either none of us can truly be married to this person or one person is actually this person's legal spouse and the rest of us are by law concubines like so or side pieces, right? um
Mhm.
just being someone who does officiate, poly marriages, deals with counseling, like have you seen solutions for this as far as like you know, is there like certain paperwork that can be arranged or like what is the way to try to make things as fair as possible without the legal marriage?
Yes. So, okay. Do you mind if I like show the card and stuff like that so people can know what it is?
Do your thing. Do your thing.
Okay. So with Wedded Bliss Efficient Services, I don't know if y'all can see the logo, but with Wedded Bliss Efficient Services, which is on all social platforms, it's not legal to be legally married to more than one person, as you just stated. However, you can do a plural marriage ceremony. And I have done a few ceremonies with a monogamous couple and one with a throuple where they did have a ceremony and we did the vows and everything, and they just didn't have the marriage license. So you can do it that way with the ceremony and then later get documents notarized by a commissioned notary, which I am also a notary. I have a notary business. So here is my card for that, Davy Mobile Notary Service. And that is on all social platforms as well. And you can go and get documents notarized by a notary. So you can have um, custody documents, and you can write them up. You can put the the third person or the second wife or whatever the relationship structure is in those documents, in your will, in a, like in the final will and testament, when you write down everything where how you want things to be delegated at the end of your life. You can add both wives, both husbands, whatever, in that document, so that way no one's left out legally. You can add whoever you want on bank accounts, so you don't have to be legally married to have someone on your bank account, because I have my spouse and my mom on my bank account. No one questions anything. I mean, it's your bank account. You can have
Mm-hmm.
who you want. So that's another way. I know a power of attorney, medical power of attorney, is where you delegate a person or people to make final decisions on your medical decisions on your behalf if you are incapacitated and cannot decide for yourself, and you get that notarized by a notary and have witnesses. And it doesn't have to be your legal spouse. It could be a sister, a cousin, a friend, a coworker. It's whoever you want on there. So you can add as many partners as you want, as long as it's notarized by a commissioned notary. And
Okay.
another thing is you call it a financial power of attorney, which these people will have access to all of your money in case you pass away or you can no longer make decisions for yourself. They are able to access everything, and you just get legal documents taken care of. You can add people as guardians and co-guardians of your children. So, I mean, there are legal ways around these things. You don't have to have that legal marriage license, because there are plenty of monogamous couples that get married for other reasons other than love. Let's
Mm-hmm.
just be honest. Lots of people get married to be on someone's insurance because they got a good job with a good insurance package. There's people that get married because lots of reasons.
Yeah.
Lots of reasons that have nothing to do with being in love. I've seen it a lot. I was prior military, and I saw a lot of people get married just so they can take advantage of those perks and benefits, and then they never saw each other again and didn't care to. But they were legally married to each other just so they could take advantage, like I said, of different things. And then they move they separate ways, and they date over here. That person got somebody, and he got another person. They legally married, but they don't care. I mean, they're not operating as a couple, and so I don't see it being any different for anything else. So, I mean, people do it all the time. Actually, they may have a child with their ex-wife or whatever, and that they still have legal obligations to the child, and then they get remarried, and so there's a stepmother involved and legally adopt the child or whatever. So it happens all the time in monogamous structures. Why can't it happen with polyamory? You just have to know how to navigate the paperwork and get you a notary and a wedding officiant that is willing to do a plural ceremony, and a notary that is inclusive, that does not mind notarizing those documents. Most notaries are not going to say no to it as long as it's a legal document. We just check and make sure that you are who you say you are, and we notarize it. So there are definitely ways to get around all of that legally, for sure.
Okay, y'all. So it's just a matter of doing your due diligence, putting in that lead work. Like it sounds like it's a little bit more like individual work to do as opposed to just signing one certificate and keeping it pushing. Um, so that's the issue that I think that I see with people is like they're kind of lazy. They don't want to do the research and put in the work to make sure all of their ducks are in a row, right? Also, like I said, I came into polygamy from like a more like spiritual community, like conscious type of uh what's the word I want to look for? Like filter. That's what I'll say. There was like that conscious filter on it. So there was a lot of like, oh, we don't need the white man's paperwork and blah blah blah, and you know, blah 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 blah. Listen, y'all, please deal in reality.
You
Okay.
better get that paperwork.
I understand how you feel. However, how you feel does not change the fact that you are inside of the United States of America, right? And there are laws. And you can sit here and call a person your wife all you want, but if you don't have your ducks in the row, they're not going to be recognized. They're just not. And there's going to be a lot of mess. And then y'all are trying to have children out of these unions. And so that's a whole thing. Y'all, please, if y'all going to do it, get y'all ducks in a row. Okay? Get y'all
I
ducks in. Exactly. It's no excuse. So yeah, I definitely feel like, I asked all the questions that I had. Like, I think I definitely have a broader perspective now. I definitely see how certain things could have been handled a lot better to get a better outcome for myself. Um, again, I thank you for coming on here and, giving us your insight and your experience. Is there anything else you want to tell the people about polygamy or about what you do?
Yes, please make sure you follow What If Bliss Efficient Services. And if you are in the queer or polyamorous community, I definitely marry everyone. I am fully inclusive. So follow What If Bliss Efficient Services as well as What If Bliss Love Academy. I am always posting relationship content all the time. I love love. So that is what I do. And if you are looking to get your documents notarized to get all your ducks in a row on the legal side of things. And, we are living in modern society. So it is very important to get that paperwork handled. So that way you can make sure that everything is taken care of because we are not going to be here forever, people. So we need to make sure that our families and our nations that we are building are going to be okay when we are not here. So y'all better contact the notary that will notarize those documents for sure. Make sure you got that will and your all your final wishes taken care of for sure. Because we never know.
Of course, of course. But yeah, y'all, thank y'all so much for tuning in. Make sure y'all go follow her, support her. Make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe, share the video so we can get to
Yeah.
1,000 subscribers, y'all. But other than that, y'all, we're gonna get up out of here. Peace.
Yeah.